always going to be on the
Yeah.
side. I'm always going to be on the side of jokes, and that's just who I am. I'm a comedian. I support.
We
that,
also can't necessarily ask him to have the same empathy as us as comedians.
Of course, Al's not a comedian.
That's a black dude.
Al's not a comedian.
That's
But
not
a comedian, I always got to defend
I can
jokes.
understand. I'm trying to be funny and I misword some shit, but then when I peel it back and I go to and I dig into what you're saying, it's still just as it's more troubling to me.
So say that, like say, hey, I misspoke. I told a bad joke, but you guys are doubling down and saying that you're like, there's nothing wrong with what I said.
Nope, there's nothing wrong at all.
But I don't.
like,
but that's
bullshit. That's bullshit.
All right. So right there, anybody who wants to say that these guys are like knuckling under, oh, Myron and Fresh, they'll just go along to get along. Right there, that took some fucking balls. That took some fucking balls on the part of Myron. Well, certainly Fresh of all people, right? Mumble mouth Fresh, right? That took some fucking balls to say that. No, that's what we're at. And to him, now, granted, he probably wasn't thinking, well, I'm just going to be bold and say, fuck you. That's just the thought pattern. And I should say here that this is where you'll see the fundamental shift between like the difference, like the distinction between the way that a red pill man thinks, red pill awareness versus blue pill ignorance, because they don't understand. They don't understand why they could say something like that. They don't understand how they came to those conclusions. They don't understand how they became aware and because to them, I want to say this too. I got to point this out because I've been running up the flagpole for this from, I think it was Chris Williamson or something like that. Was that the guy from Total Drama Island? Was giving me shit about, and they even give him shit here in a second about this, but about anger. Oh, sounds angry. You guys sound like you're hating on our Nubian princess sisters, right? That making a racial issue out of it. But you sound angry. Well, of course they do. Because the language of empiricism sounds like anger to the language of emotionalism. Because emotionalism doesn't have a counter. It doesn't have an answer. It doesn't have an answer to rational, reasonable, valid, cogent arguments that come from the material world. Here's the data. Here's the sets. Here's this. This is why I think the way that I do. This is how I came to the conclusion that men need to be dominant. This is how I came to the conclusion that, hypergamy exists, right? Name the thing, right? Well, why do you believe that? It must be an ideology. No, it is not an ideology. It is a praxeology. And I can tell you in no uncertain terms how I came to thinking the way I do, or how I came to the terms of being the educator and educating men on this same stuff. I can tell you those things, but you don't have the language to understand it. You don't have the understanding because you believe in emotionalism, and you don't even realize that that's the language that you're using. It sounds like hate. It sounds like anger. I use exactly the same data sets as Rob Henderson. I use exactly the same data sets as like Rolf. Well, Rolf's not really I guess he's a researcher, but I use data sets from well-known evolutionary psychologists, evolutionary biologists. It doesn't even have to be even in those realms. I use data sets from sociologists and anthropologists. Especially when we talk about Genghis Khan, right? I'm trying to think what else. I'm not odd as this may sound, I am not a neuroscientist. Okay. I have kind of this kind of bonehead, interest in a lot of that stuff. I'm not an endocrinologist. I am not. I know the basics, and I connect the dots that I have available to me in those particular realms. When I use those data sets, and it's Rollo Tomasi who says, here's a data set and here's a data set. Those are two dots, and I'm connecting those two dots. What do you think about that? That sounds like anger. It sounds like hate. It goes against my religion. It goes against my belief. It goes against the fact that I can't find my soulmate. How dare you tell me this, right? I'm going to get depressed and despondent and nihilistic. Or I'm going to get aggro. I'm going to fight you on that because I'm so dependent on my belief sets being reconfirmed in an emotional world that when you bring in empirical data and you contradict that, then I'm going to fight you.